All right, welcome back. That's some cheese. It's been a while. Garrett Burrows is here. We're gonna make this short and sweet, 20-minute episode. We're doing this before the combine. Today is Sunday, March 5th, 2023. Look at that background change.
I
Garrett,
didn't know
what's
this.
going
I
on?
didn't know this was cheese. I thought this was like some sort of quick emergency thing. So I didn't know what to do.
It's a little bit of both, I guess. I don't know.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, elephant in the room. Gavin Daly's gone. Do you have any initial thoughts, feelings before I kind of jump into the bullet points?
Originally, I was bummed. Gavin is a guy who's been here for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He used to do good work when he would actually write, and then he just kind of fell off the face of the earth, which is disappointing. And now we hear that he's gone, and I kind of wondered what kind of led to that, but I read through his Substack that he just so magically started writing on, and that kind of explained a little bit.
Well, that's one of the bullet points I have. Why don't we start from the very beginning? A, he should have been fired a long time ago. Like 99.9% of companies would have never allowed him to do the things that he did to Brian Tan / myself / whoever he took shots at. So I think that should be question number one. And when I ask this question, take the feelings out of if it was a good thing or a bad thing. Do you think Brian Tan is still here had Gavin not done what he did?
No.
Okay, that's fair.
No, I don't.
I don't feel like we have the total answer to it, but in my opinion, maybe you feel differently. He pushed someone out the door, or at least led it to him pushing someone out the door.
He was a driving force for sure.
Big driving force towards pushing an employee out the door. Now, I let him do what he wants. I thought he had it pretty good here. People can take shots. I don't have an issue with it. But if you're going to force people out the door and then yourself say, oh, well, this isn't for me, or, hey, I caused irreparable damage, but, fuck it, I'm out. Doesn't sit well with me.
Which is a valid point. I mean, if you're gonna talk all this shit about somebody and basically
Right.
get them kicked out of the company, you didn't get kicked out of the company, but push somebody out and then just say, I did my part. I'm gonna chill for a little bit. It's kind of disrespectful to some extent.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, we had this conversation when it originally happened. He was the one taking shots at people's girlfriends and people's families. Like 99% of companies fire him right there and then. So
that is fair.
Again, I don't have any problem with people taking shots at each other. Gavin's the one that crossed it into a territory where it didn't belong, pushed someone out the door to the point where this person's no longer here either. But I asked Courtney Plummer if she felt like, it was, hey, he's picking on the black guy. And she said yes. So I don't know. If you're going to pull all that and then throw a pity party for yourself and then leave, it's never going to sit well.
That's an interesting little tidbit there. I did not know that. Which, I mean, if you take a step back and look at it, like that kind of makes sense a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pity party seems a bit excessive after all the stuff that transpired with him.
Well, he's the one throwing a pity party for himself. Let's move to topic number 2. I mean, let's call it what it is. That Substack post was a therapy session. He drank too many bottles of wine and poured his heart out because nobody wants to listen to him. That's what that was.
I can't disagree.
That's a grown man child who went online, had to pour his thoughts out because he's not in therapy. That's what that was.
And it's interesting that don't you have to pay for Substack subscriptions?
Yes.
His is free.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay to subscribe to his stuff. Like what's the point then? Why would you not just stay here where you get your stuff published for free and more people are going to read it? Let's go to Substack where 3 people are going to read it every single week, and you have the subscription service that you're asking people not to pay for.
It's not
genius.
even that. He got away with everything here. I let him do whatever he wants. And it still wasn't enough to the point where he would rather go and post his thoughts on a random Substack. Like you have to sign up for. Do you have to pay to be on there?
To create an account?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Either
That'd
way,
be fucking embarrassing if he did. If he paid to be on Substack.
either way, I know for a fact that the people that have subscriptions on there, I mean, they're taking a cut out of it.
Yeah,
So
they would
the
have
people
to.
on there, he basically decided that he would, instead of being a middleman here, he'd rather be a middleman of emptiness.
It's sad. Also, how long do we think the Substack lasts? Like in all honesty.
Well, that's my next bullet point. I'm glad you brought that up. Gavin is someone who was kind of a reject at another media company. He originally was trying to be a writer at this site called Hockey Writers. They do a decent job covering NHL news. I don't know what exactly happened, but he either one of two things, could be both. He either didn't produce enough to meet their quota and or they didn't like his article, so they pushed him out. So the fact that he already was pushed aside by another media company, had a home here, not grateful at all or any of that stuff, but would rather just, post his thoughts of nothing. It doesn't make sense.
He had it cozy here. And imagine, all he had to do was just send Trey a message. Like once a month, I bet. I bet once a month would have been just fine for Trey.
We wouldn't even be recording this had he just called me. If he
We know how
called me, if he called me or even handled it responsibly and said, like, I feel like I need to do something different. He sent me an out of the blue Instagram message. I've never spoken to him on Instagram. He didn't tell me why he was leaving. And then we see the Substack.
I'm assuming he had your phone number.
Yeah, he has my phone number.
Oh, that's a bad look. That's a bad look for Gavin. He had your phone number, but chose to go through Instagram
He
instead.
chose the way he wanted to handle it, which was that.
Well, he might have been a couple bottles down. He probably didn't make the best responsible decision.
Well, we know he's recorded shows blackout drunk, so I mean we know he's got some addictions to the wine. I don't want to call him an
demons to
alcoholic.
battle.
I mean that Substack post, and not even that, he didn't even include any Vendetta stuff,
Which is surprising.
Crazy.
Kind of thought he would have, but
willing to throw all that like it never existed.
Like we don't even matter. Although he follows most of the people from Vendetta. If he sees this, maybe we make him in the next one.
You know what's even crazier? When I wrote the article on him, we can go into that. A few minutes later, he posted on Andrew's NHL tracker and said, "Great work, Andrew. Go find the last time he commented, shared, or anything on a Vendetta post." I prompted him to do that.
Yeah. Which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I'll link the post in, but it's something I couldn't ignore. I muted him afterwards. Just, I don't want to see it again. And after this, I'm done with it. But the fact, and maybe it was a sarcastic post, maybe it wasn't. I don't see how it was sarcastic because it wasn't funny. Maybe we have different definitions of what comedy is, but that wasn't funny. He's putting out a tweet being like, "Hey, I'm off of work today. Where are the trades?" I mean, there was, I think, 60 plus trades by the end of it.
Yeah, there's been like just an abhorrent amount of trades.
Do we think he was smart enough that he was being sarcastic, or we don't think his brain is that smart?
I mean, maybe the Irish sense of comedy is a little bit different than we have it out here in the lower 48. But it wasn't funny. I have no clue.
Like he kept quote tweeting his original post would be like, "Ooh, big name trade," and it wasn't a big name, but like, I don't know, it just wasn't funny. Like there's nobody that was gonna laugh at that.
Maybe he was in a condition where he thought his tweets were funny.
Yeah, that could be true. Maybe he started drinking early that day.
We don't know.
So, I mean, if it wasn't sarcastic, it was fucking banana land. If it was sarcastic, it just wasn't funny.
It just fell flat.
Yeah.
That shit fell flat.
Yeah. So I don't know. It could have been either or. It doesn't really fucking matter. Either way, I found it and maybe I shouldn't feel this way, it rubbed me the wrong way because he's out here posting stuff now. This whole time, I mean, you have off of work. He could have been writing about any of these trades that went down, any of them.
Or writing about anything.
And, I mean, hey, you said it in the channel the other day. We've been fixing, I mean, Scarlett's been fixing some of the back end stuff. The views have been good the last week or 2 weeks.
The views have been pretty good as of late.
How can I phrase it? The views would have been triple of what one of the SB Nation sites that we talked to. So
do with that information as you will.
Yeah, I don't know. And okay, so I was thinking about this too. So I'm like, I couldn't figure out. I'm not nearly as mad as at Fontanello or Kane Lander. Like, it feels like those two were also here for a long time. They didn't message me at all. Why am I not as mad as at them than I am at Gavin? But I thought about it. And to me, it's really all about expectations. Like, I thought Gavin was a friend. I have a Luton Town jersey. We were supposed to go to a hockey game after I beat him in fantasy hockey. He beat me in one of the regular season weeks, and I beat him in 2 of the other regular season, and then the playoffs too. He was supposed to buy hockey tickets for us, and I was supposed to wear a Lamar Jackson shirt whenever. I mean, I was looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was the friend.
Yeah.
Gone.
And then speaks as if his time here or you don't even exist.
Yeah.
I'm
not supposed to feel some type of way about it.
I agree with you here. It's some shady stuff that he's pulling, dude. It's shady.
Can we pull up the Max Everett screenshot? Because he specifically asked me about what was going on. I asked him if he wanted to come on a recording. He turns out he was busy today, but let's read that. However, you can quote me on the disrespectful comments from last night, and I'll read a couple of those after this. And that, as far as I'm concerned, he and Brian Tanner cut from the same cloth.
Yikes.
Is he wrong?
Not really. Not really.
Both loudmouths, both unaccountable for their actions, both go off the deep end when things don't go their way, both say things they probably shouldn't say, both consider themselves talking heads, and, you know, maybe go down a slippery slope in terms of, again, that Substack post. What was that? What was that? Everybody's having a hard time. I get that. But in what world, and maybe this is going to sound like a dickhead move, but in what world are you just posting random shit about your family having medical problems or that kind of stuff? Like, out of the blue, just
it seems odd that he is somebody who has no following and has not built a fan base or anything like that, going to do his own thing, and that's the first article is, oh, woe is me.
Yeah.
That seems weird for your first article.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want your first article to be like, hey, this is what I cover. Let's talk about this first.
Yeah.
To establish a fan base. Because now anybody who goes to Gavin's Substack, they're like, hey, let's see what this guy's all about. His first article is a tale of woe. Why is anybody going to read anything else after that?
When he already had it made. He had everything set up for him. And then
True.
I mean, I don't think I would have even wanted this published on the site, but I mean, if he really wanted to, he could have did that. I mean, hey, this is why I've been away for so long. This is why X, Y, and Z. At least he had prior posts going out. To send out as your first post, to be like, hey, this is my new thing. By the way, here's the sob story.
By the way, I'm sad.
I don't know. That just... Again, maybe this is going to sound like a dickhead move, but it's like when you talk to a stranger, or you ever hear that story by Segura, the stand-up comic? He runs into a lady at the bank and she tells him his whole life story, and his joke is, your answer should be good or fine. You know,
Always.
your answer is good or fine, not oh woe is me. You know, like I don't know.
It's an interesting decision for your
Go
first article on Substack.
listen. I know he's not from America, and I know the Irish people do things differently. And I'm not saying either way is correct, but go sign up for therapy, man, because that shit was sad. Like it really was. And I'm not going to attack his wife like he did or attack, a child like he did. But I don't think there's ever a world where that should be your first post.
No, never. Imagine if he signed to some other sports media site and he was just like, guys, I got to get this first article out. Just let me do this. And that's what it was. They would have canned him immediately.
Yeah.
Would have canned him no matter what.
Yeah. And that's the other thing of why I don't want to say I'm angry, but I'm like really disappointed and like just rubbed the wrong way. It's not like this guy's 20 or 25 or 30 or even 35 where his whole life's ahead of him. Like he's got opportunities to explore. I get some people come out of college and say, we've only been around for 5 years. I'm not loaded by investors. Some people see this as a stepping stone to get on Sports Center or something like that. He's heading into his 50s. Like his window of opportunity in terms of getting signed by another media company or doing anything important in the sports media is over. It's gone.
I did not know that.
I mean, he's old.
That's a tough look.
Right?
That's a tough look.
I've understood when people in the past have left and been like, hey, I'm going to sign on for Fox Sports. I'm getting X amount of dollars, or hey, there's a new opportunity. I appreciate everything that happened here, but you guys aren't around to give me a $300,000 paycheck or something like that. The fact that he's this old says a lot. Like this isn't some little child that made a mistake. This is an old grown man child who threw a fucking pity party for himself and then went this route.
So hypothetically speaking, let's say 3 or 4 months from now, Gavin's got the Substack. It's gaining no traction. Gavin comes to you.
No shit.
Gavin comes to you with a genuine apology. Trey, I messed up. I realized the error of my ways. What can I do to remedy the situation and be back at Vendetta?
I think it's donezo.
Fair enough. I can't say I blame you. Because you're right. It would be different if a 22-year-old left and said, hey, I'm going to do this new opportunity. Didn't work out. Come back here. Hey, I fucked up. That's on me. Yeah. I messed up. Then you're like, yes, you did. Come back to Papa. But now, that's a bad
like here's a perfect example. And maybe I shouldn't even use this example. But when Arv said, when we were talking about the Chicago Tribune thing about how I felt that my Trubisky post should have been included. He's like, why would they include a site that nobody reads? That shit, I'll never forget it. It rubs me the wrong way, but he's a high schooler. And if he were to go to Northwestern, get some internship and then come back, I'd be like, fine, I get it. You're 17. I did stupid shit at 17.
You don't know better. Yeah.
He's like gonna be 50 or something.
That's crazy.
Has a child, has a wife. Like, no,
not a good look.
He lives in Looney Tunes land.
He had it made here.
Can I read a comment from Max Everett? And I think more people should hear this. Let me pull it up quick. Okay. I won't comment on his personal life. Sounds like he has been through it. Credit to Max, because if that was Gavin, he'd have plenty of things to say about his personal life. I won't do that either. So, however, it's not like he is committed to the industry anyway. If you're going to dip your toes in it, then you have no market value, or you have no value in the market. That's the honest truth of it. There's a lot of them. here who have it easy and it shows. Yeah, it's weird behavior, especially considering the way he treated Brian Tan. No difference between their departures. Disrespectful, ungrateful. Those are Max Everett's words.
He's got a point. Max is a smart guy.
Do you have anything else to add? Because I'm good closing it out here.
You said he had disrespectful comments?
In the
Gavin
Slack,
did?
well, I mean, months and months and months ago.
Oh, I understand. I thought like something like just happened with Gavin, and I was like,
No,
ooh, I'm all about it. Let's hear it. Okay,
no.
gotcha. No, I got nothing else. It's sad to see him go, but I mean, he was a ghost for Lord knows how long, so
And he
see, I
didn't even
guess.
do his company review, and I didn't fire him anyway.
He really had it made then.
Yeah,
That dude had it made.
yeah,
You said multiple times in the Slack, if you don't do this, you're gone.
yeah.
That's a shame.
Okay, last question, and then we can wrap it up. Maybe it's my fault. Do we think I broke his brain when I beat him in fantasy hockey? Because that's a very good possibility. I'm putting it at maybe 5-10% that happened because
I mean, you were kind of the new guy at fantasy hockey. So
this was, and here's the real context. I started watching hockey 3 years ago. I loved it as a kid. I stopped watching it when the lockout happened. Basically, when Crosby and Ovechkin entered the league is when I stopped watching. So when the Avalanche were like good back in the day, when they had Forsberg and the Red Wings used to be good with Yzerman, that's when I watched. So I had not watched. I knew maybe 5-10 guys. First year, I won it. Gavin comes out and says, lucky, had no business winning. Because I basically won off the wild card. I didn't know or off the waiver wire. I didn't know anybody I was drafting. I cut basically 80% of my team, picking up free agents left and right, playing matchups, and I squeaked in 7-6 and won the whole thing. He said it was lucky, didn't deserve the win. Fine. By the end of year one, I had felt like I knew more about hockey than 90% of the public. Wasn't going to pretend like I was an expert, but I felt like I knew what I was doing by the end of year one and knew the whole league. Fast forward, I lose one game, 23-1, beat the fuck out of everybody. But I felt like I felt like it was deserved. Like the whole hockey chat was saying I was a fraud. Oh, you're not spelling guys' names right. You don't know anything. You just started watching. I took it personally. I felt like I was in the right. Hey, you guys are going to talk shit? No problem. I'll fucking dominate all of you. And that's exactly what it did. I think it might have broke his brain.
it might have hurt his ego, Trey.
Yeah.
You might have damaged his little ego.
I think that's what happened.
It could be.
And the only week that I lost was during COVID regulations where my whole team was out and he beat me the 1 week. Teams were getting
that
canceled.
one doesn't even count.
They weren't playing games. Otherwise, I would have went a whole fantasy year being undefeated. So
he has to live with the fact that he beat you in a week that shouldn't even count.
Yeah,
and that's his win. That might be what did it.
The record books will show that this may have happened. This may not have happened. But I beat him so bad in fantasy hockey, he went into Banana Land.
Very well, may be the case.
Okay, I got nothing else. We're good. You have anything else? That's it.
I just want to say really quick, if he ends up watching this, Gavin, I hope that you speak to somebody. I hope you find the help that it sounds like you might need. We're rooting for you over here. However, the way you handled business, not ideal. Maybe figure it out next time.
No,
that's all.
The biggest thing for me is always going to be, do I think you are willing to run through a brick wall for this company? Because I'm willing to do the same for you then. And that's always been the case. I've defended Gavin left and right, even when, I don't defend the things that he did wrong, but I got his back in terms of, hey, haters coming after him. Hey, if you're on my side, I ride and die for you. He showed that obviously it's not the case. So it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Okay, that's some cheese. Quick, short episode. Hopefully, we got some good news coming. We're on the verge about 7 different things that I can't say right now, so we'll see. But that's the
Maybe.
episode this week. Peace out.